Hey y'all, thanks for joining me. My name is Melody, and welcome to Swamp Witch Society's weekly rundown of something Louisiana. Spooky ookies, witches, shapeshifters, and things that go bump in the night. This tale is not so much a tale, this is a tradition. This is a beautiful tradition, and it is fading out. And the reason for that is that it's not very well documented. Now, this is something that is gifted from family to family, and not much of anything is written down about it. So, we are going to talk about folk healing in southern Louisiana. Now, this is called the Tremont, and the Tremont, you either have a male traiteur or a female traitress. Now, these people are gifted healing powers. Another family member who was gifted the healing powers by the divine, by God. Merge together these different practices, varied widely, much like everything else in Louisiana. It is a cultural melting pot of beautiful traditions. Spiritual healing is given 100% love and dedication, just like cooking, just like taking care of your family. There is something about Louisiana people that is just very special. I'm from Louisiana. Maybe I'm biased. Nah, we're just cool. And this month marks 1 year since my spiritual mentor and my loving aunt passed away. She was a traitress, and she was gifted this gift by her mother, which is my mama. And my mama was gifted this by her father, who was known as Coucou Alamont. That's Philip Coucou Alamont. He served all of Thibodeau and Lafourche Parish as a traiteur. He would step in and to the hospitals. He would answer the door into the middle of the nights. You couldn't turn anyone away. Once you accept the gift, it's yours, and you have to treat if they ask. You're not to accept gifts. You are not to share your secret family prayers, and you're not to even accept thank yous. The thanks is given to God. And sometimes, if you can think back to, say, like the 19th century, 18th century in Louisiana, where it was being developed, and we didn't have like infrastructure. People were just getting here from Nova Scotia, from the Caribbean islands. We were learning how to be one with the bayous, with the water. So doctors were not readily available. If they were expensive. Now, Cajun folk healers, they are a southern Louisiana tradition. These are called traiteurs. Now, that's the French word for treaters. And for generations, people turning not only to practitioners, but to traiteurs, because 19th century and doctors were not readily available, they were expensive, or you just couldn't find one. So they would first have a family remedy. If that didn't work, they'd call in a traiteur. The traiteur would come, you know, they could heal different types of ailments. The midwife, the elders would come in. All else fails, we're going to call the physician. Eventually, the physician would get there, and that's only when spiritual and family remedies, holistic use of plants, and things like that did not work. So, a traiteur usually was not considered a doctor, most certainly did not consider themselves a witch. Instead, they believed that the gift for healing through prayer was often combined with herbs, touch, sacred objects, and traditions passed quietly from one generation to the next. This was given by God. The divine source is the Tremont. It has become one of the most distinctive folk healing traditions in southern Louisiana. But the origins are really complicated, and simply calling it Cajun medicine is not accurate. French and Acadian settlers brought European Catholic healing practices, including prayer, cures, saints, sacred numbers, specifically three, and charms, traiteur traditions developed through centuries of cultural mixing. Now, indigenous people contributed extensive knowledge to Louisiana. The plants and their medicinal uses were given to the Cajun people to help them because the Native Americans also believed in healing. African and Afro Creole communities brought their own traditions that involved herbal medicine, spiritual healing, protective practices, baths, washes, and specialized healers. I would say that anyone living in South Louisiana that is familiar with a traiteur or a traiteur family, you would understand that, self-protection is important. Transmitting of the illness that the healer doesn't want to take on. So there are ways to protect yourself. And we in Louisiana have all the traditions, all the superstitions, all the juju. So we salt our entryways to our home. We don't want that negative juju coming in. We put a bowl of salt by the window. Don't you come in here. You're not welcomed. And if we're having nightmares, we put a bowl of salt next to the bed. There are other traditions that we are highly invested in. Protection ritual that is also very pagan. And you say that shit to my aunts and you might get an uppercut. I don't know. I don't. I learned my lesson. Spanish, Caribbean, and Creole people also had influence and became a part of the mixture. So by the 19th century, especially in places like Bayou Lafourche, where my family is from, old Philip Cuckoo Alamont was my great grandfather. He went around laying them hands on you. Let me lay my hands on you. And he was a conduit from God. And from there, he gifted that tradition on to my Momo Sadie and Momo Sadie. I seen it firsthand. I felt it. I felt that electricity. I mean, I felt that heat when she healed my own ailment. She would heal people though that would come to the door. She told me the story how when you were young and your daddy got a knock at the door, town healer, you just accept what needed to be done. It's your duty. You take on the role. You are essentially forever the conduit. And for her, that was a lifelong endeavor as well. She passed that along to my spiritual mentor, my Aunt Jo. This is 1 year that she has passed away this month in August, and I miss her dearly. And she was wonderful, and she knew she was passing, and she handed down those special prayers and those family traditions. And I enjoy reading about these things. I enjoy reading about the difference in families and what they did. And I believe it goes hand in hand with compassion and empathy and one collective conscious. There are people that heal, love, and do not judge. Those are the people that are taken from us too soon. And Aunt Jo was one of them, and I loved her dearly. And she lived and breathed helping and healing other people. So thank you for joining me for this tribute to my Aunt Jo and just spreading the word on what spiritual healing and Cajun healing was. Also gave me a chance to as well deep dive into the history of this and just understand where this family tradition originates from. How did this come to be? What are we saying? Why are we saying it? Who, what, and when? And doing this research for this episode really helped me. I love it. So thank you for sticking around, and go ahead and give Aunt Jo a like for tonight. Rest in power.